and are not afraid to say it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Black Westchester Presents, the People Before Politics radio show, every Sunday 6 to 8 on InTheMixRadio.com. I'm your host, A.J. Woodson. Black by popular demand. Damon K. Jones is in the house. We have the lovely Lorraine Lopez in the house. Dr. Bob is out for the day. And we have a special guest, Westchester Hispanic Law Enforcement Association President, Sergeant Hector Lopez in the house. And they got me on the wrong screen for the applause. I don't know where the right screen is. We'll fix that in a minute. And we got the Westchester Correction Association President Brooke Jones in the house.
The Queen is in the house.
Yeah. So, Damon K. Jones, what have you been up to? I know you always up to something. What you been up to?
Just preparing for the conference. Also preparing for the Rappacon. Big shout out to Councilman Andre Wallace with the Rappacon. What is it? Movie?
It's a
documentary.
It's a documentary.
Yes. Yeah. The Rappacon documentary. Preparing for that. Preparing for the Westchester Black Political Conference in February.
February what?
February 10th.
10th.
Okay.
Yeah. And Rappacon is the 3rd.
And Rappacon is the 3rd, and then we're also preparing for Councilman Andre Wallace's first Women's History Month brunch.
That's
nice.
what's up.
Yeah. So it's going to be, it's going to be good. It's going to be these are great events for the community.
Now I just found out the Rappacon documentary took footage of the last Rappacon that took place in Mount Vernon. And I was on one of the panels, and evidently footage of the panel discussion will be in the documentary.
So you're going to be in the documentary?
Somewhat, yes. And then
you're a superstar.
There's a 12 o'clock showing, and there's a 3 o'clock showing at the Mount Vernon High School. And after the 3 o'clock showing, Black Westchester will be hosting a panel discussion, and I will be moderating that. So definitely gearing up for that and very excited. You know what I'm saying? Rappacon is a beautiful thing. Y'all don't know what it is. Just Google it. It's for real hip hop heads. It's a beautiful thing. Block part. It was just back in the days. You know how we used to party, in the street, just in the park.
It was like people freestyling and stuff like that?
It was the whole nine. And this last one, they had battles of the sound system. They had Tony Tone from Cold Crush had a sound system on one side of the block. And the Mount Vernon Legends, the Collin brothers, had a sound system on this side of the block, and they were battling for the best sound system. And you had your rappers come up and freestyle and battle, do their thing and perform. And even Andre's son performed. They did a little. They got a little group. Andre Wallace's son had a little group. They got up there and did their thing. You know what I'm saying? So that was kind of cool. But it was a beautiful thing. A lot of old school heads. Original Grand Wizard Theater, a lot of the originators, a period Cool Herc. Well, I'm not one of the originators. I came after them. I idolized those guys, and they made me want to get into it. You know what I'm saying? So, but I am celebrating the 30th anniversary of my first single, Strong Island. That came out January 1988.
Congrats.
30 years ago. The record came out and coined the phrase Strong Island for Long Island. And thank you for all the love online from everybody out there. We appreciate you. We might have something in store. I'm not sure. We're talking about a few things. So shout to talking about hip hop legends, Grand Master Caz is celebrating his 42nd anniversary in hip hop also on Saturday, February 3rd. It's going to be a night with Grand Master Caz and all of the legends. Everybody's going to be there and appear and perform. It's in Cold Crush, everybody. It's in the Bronx. The flyer's on my page. You can't miss it. So I'm looking forward to that. That's 2 days before my birthday. And then 3 days after that, I'm going to go see the God MC Rakim at BB King's. So I'm definitely way to spend a birthday.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
without a doubt.
word up, word up, word up. So, Lorraine, what have you been up to?
I've been freezing, man. It's cold out there, man. It's really, really cold out there. Last week I was talking all this crap about, oh, it's not that cold because I got some meat in my bones and I don't feel it. I'm freaking freezing.
So
Freezing.
now, and Brooke, what have you been up to?
Oh, same old, going to work, raising my grandbaby.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wait. You
That's
don't look,
special right there.
you don't look old enough to be nobody grandmother.
I know, don't tell nobody.
Okay.
Well, you kept secret, I know. But yeah, that's basically what I'm doing these days, and focusing on this association, and safety in the jail. That's our usual, fight week after week, So.
Right.
Yeah, we got some things planned. Got
Right.
some things coming up.
Right. And Lorraine, the gentleman sitting next to you,
Yeah.
also works at the jail. Would you like to introduce him and tell the world who he is?
Oh, this guy right here is my brother Hector. Hold on, we got timeout.
Oh, you can't hear me?
No, keep talking.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
You can't hear me? Okay.
Everyone, this is my brother Hector.
Oh, Cruz. Oh, go ahead, keep going.
And Hector, tell everybody who's your favorite sibling.
We got 11, so but one of them is next to me now.
That was a good answer. Yeah, this is a guy I grew up with, and one of my role models, my brother. He's not only is he the sergeant of, he's the president of the Westchester Hispanic Law Enforcement Association, but he's also the chairman of the Yonkers Cultural Association Parade, and also the vice president of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce as well. He's like you, Damon. He has a lot of roles.
Yeah.
We got a lot of hats.
That's it. That's what it's all about.
All right, so delayed reaction. First time on the show, Hector Lopez. I didn't have my screen up, so I couldn't give you your applause. Your proper welcome, yeah. You know what I'm saying? We try to make everybody feel welcome.
Thank you.
But are they both here?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we're going to pause on talking law enforcement for right now because we have two special guests here, and I know they're pushed for time, so we want to get them in as soon as possible so they could come and talk to the people and handle their busy jobs. Gentlemen, y'all could come. You could tell them? Yes.
Come on in.
Yeah. Hey.
Come on in.
Right. Come on in.
Should we leave the coat out or?
I'll put it on the back of your chair.
Yeah, you can put them back in the chair.
We have County Legislator Lyndon Williams, which is no stranger to the show.
Right. Yeah, he's
been
a
on
friend
the
of the
show a
show,
few
County
times.
Legislator Lyndon Williams.
And we have
We have the chairman.
first-timer.
We had first time on the show. He's a friend of he's a friend of Black Westchester. He's a friend of Westchester Correction Association and the new chairman of the board of the Westchester County Legislators, Ben Boykin.
Yes.
Welcome.
So you are the new, what is the chairman?
Yes, chair of the Board of Legislators.
Okay. And talk about. I know y'all had a little getting right into it.
You want to get right into it?
I know. People heard different things. There was a vote, then someone else, and then they. The word on the street where you two teamed up with the Republicans or something to coincide the vote that was already there, and you just break it down what actually happened.
Let me tell you what happened. It's first of all, I'm not going to talk about what happens in the caucus because
Right.
what happens in the caucus
Stays in the
really
caucus.
should stay in the caucus.
Right.
And there was leaks that took place from the caucus, so
Right.
those individuals that leak, they've got to stand behind that information.
Right.
But the board charter requires that the chair of the board and the vice chair of the board be elected on the floor of the Board of Legislators. It is a vote taken by all the legislators that are present to elect the chair and vice chair because the chair and vice chair represent and speak for all legislators.
Okay.
So that is what took place, and it takes 9 out of the 17 legislators to elect the chair and vice chair of the board, and I did receive 13 of the 16 individuals that voted
13
that
to 3,
evening.
right,
Yes,
right.
it was 13-3.
Right. So is that normal? Like, is this process normal, or how it goes every time, or
Well-
was it something different?
Well, you always have little disputes and spats in the family.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you
That's
try
right.
to really come together and work it out. And so these spats always take place. They take place with Democrats, they take place with Republicans, they take place with independents, conservatives. So it's something that takes place within the family.
Right.
And legislative?
Yeah, I was saying that oftentimes that you have these negotiations
Put the mic
occurring.
up a little bit.
Oftentimes you have these negotiations occurring in the amount of Democratic caucus. You have it on general legislation. In other words,
Yeah.
you may see us vote on the floor on an item, but that's after we've had a lot of back and forth, and people have had positions that this change, and people, and so forth. There are negotiations that go on. The problem, I think, this time was that somebody break the rule and came out and put in public the negotiations that generally we don't have done. Caucus discussions are people for us to work. We have great Democrats. We have 12 wonderful Democrats on the Board of Legislators. Ben is a Democrat like any other Democrat. His Democratic credentials, my Democratic credentials, are not questionable. But I think sometimes mischief occurs when someone comes and leaks something out, and that's what happened. But we're not gonna actually violate that rule, because we're not going to, at the end of the day, come out and talk about what went on in caucus, because we will stick by the rule. But at the end of the day, 9 Democrats voted for Ben. That's the majority.
Okay.
And I think that we've got to move forward. We have a great agenda that has to be accomplished. I think with everything that's going on in Westchester and in this country, we need to be focused on the issues that affect people's lives rather than these little spats that really doesn't mean much.
Right.
Right, now that's yesterday's news.
Yes.
What we're doing is tomorrow's opportunities that we have to do.
Absolutely. Legislator Boykin, for people that are watching, we like to educate the public. What does the county legislators do,
Okay.
and what is your role as the chair?
Okay. That is a very good question, because one of the things I want to do as board chair, and I've talked to all the legislators, is we want to go out and talk to the people about what is the role of county government and what is the role of county legislators. Because if you go out and ask people, they really don't know.
Absolutely.
But the county government is a regional government that can provide services to the people of Westchester County in a more effective and efficient manner than if it was done directly by the local municipalities. And we do many things. We work public safety. We work with the infrastructure of the county, roads, bridges. We have the sewer treatment facilities in the county. We run several of the water districts in the county. So many of the things that happen in county government affects each and every one of us every day. We have the county airport. We have 18,000 acres of parkland. That is absolutely massive.
The county correctional facility.
Oh, well, yeah, we'll get to that.
Glad to have you here. And we as legislators, each of us represent about 56,000 people. I represent the 5th legislative district, which is most of the city of of White Plains, all of the village of Scarsdale, and West Harrison. But as board chair, I will be there everywhere all over the county representing everybody. And that's what all legislators do. Because we may have items in our district, but there are areas that are going to take, there are items that are going to take place throughout the county that all of us legislators need to come together and work for to serve the people of Westchester County. So the legislators, while they're focused primarily on their constituents in their district, they work for the people of Westchester County. We do also have, as you mentioned, the correctional facilities, which is a very, very vital part of what we do in this county. and the Board of Legislators is a co-equal branch with the county executive office.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Bob, I see you standing there.
So firstly, allow me to introduce myself to you,
Okay.
Legislator Boykin.
Yes.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
Yes.
Although I do have family commitments today, I'm celebrating an aunt's birthday.
Okay.
I did decide to come to the studio because I'm right around the corner.
Right after I said you wasn't going to be here.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Partly because I in the last show I was somewhat critical of the process that led to your selection, and I did feel that I have an obligation to civil discourse, to actually be in studio if at all possible to engage in this very important discussion.
Yeah.
And as part of my commitment to a cooperative process, I thought it was absolutely necessary that I be here. So that's the first thing that I just wanted to say. So it's a pleasure to be in studio. I mean, one thing I will add, just to echo what you said, is that my sense is, as a scholar, I sometimes do study things, and
I think we all do.
and
That's our resident researcher right there.
and one of the things that I learned, just in studying the formation of various policies, is that very often the county does play a lead role in the administration and allocation of resources for important federal programs. So in some instances, a co-equal role, I'd even say, with the states and with the state, and so that's another reason why the county is also very important. So just so you know.
Yes, the county does administer a number of federal programs, federal funded programs.
Right.
And those programs actually are important to residents of Westchester County. And so that you're correct in that is a vital role that the county plays. You probably would think back to the time when the former county executive was rejecting federal money.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Because he was opposed to the housing settlement.
Right.
Right, and those monies were very important, and that was money to build roads and bridges and to help with programs for young people. And we stood totally against his position because
Right.
we did not believe that he should have been rejecting those funds. We lost a significant amount of money as a county because of his decision to not follow the consent decree that was entered into between the county of Westchester and the Obama administration at the time.
And most of those funds, correct me if I'm wrong, affected a lot of black and brown communities
They did.
Yes, they
within,
did.
within
Yeah,
Westchester
yeah,
County.
Yeah, in fact, we lost about $26 million.
Right.
Wow.
That's a lot of money
yeah.
Right.
over the time that could have been used, as Legislator Williams said, for roads, bridges, community outreach, community services in many of our communities.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's a prime example of decisions that are made by the county with federal money that could impact lives.
You know what? Just out of curiosity, can I just ask? You said you guys have a united front now. Does that include Capowitz and Perez?
They are Democrats, and we expect that everyone is going to be working together to serve the people of Westchester County. And let me just say that on Tuesday we will be announcing committees.
Great.
I've already formed those committees. We know who's on those committees. Every legislator that's not in leadership will chair a committee.
Great.
And
Whoever's
each of
on
the
the public
committee-
safety,
And
I'll be knocking on your door.
yeah.
And Democrats, you can probably talk about Democrats' role on the committee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in fact, the Democrats will be the majority on each and every committee.
Okay.
I
Oh, okay,
expect
good.
that on every committee that probably the vice chair is also going to be a Democrat. So Democrats, the chair, the vice chair, majority leader, majority whip, and all 9 of the 12 chairs are going to be Democrats, and then I expect every one of the vice chairs to become a Democrat.
Yeah.
But what happens when the first committee meetings take place? They select the vice chair, then they set a quorum for how many it takes to open a meeting, and they set a quorum for how many legislators need to be there to vote on an item within committee.
How many legislators is usually in the committee?
It varies. Some
Okay.
committees will have 6, some will have 7, some will have 8, and some will have 9.
Okay.
It varies.
Okay.
You want to talk about the legislation, the progressive legislation that we
Yes.
are initially
Yes,
That's what we all want to hear.
Well, as you know, the first thing that County Executive Latimer did was I was with him when he signed the executive order to ban gun shows on county-owned property, and he signed it right there at the county center. We are going to.
That's over there.
We're going to take that and we want to codify that, because as you know, an executive order can be overturned
That's
by
right.
the next county executive.
That's right.
But if you codify it and put it into law, it makes it more and more difficult. So one of the first things we're going to do is work with that executive order and codify it. Remember also last year on January 9th, we passed a law that banned gun shows on county-owned property that Astorina vetoed, and we never brought it back for an override vote because we did not have 12 individuals for the override. But now we're going to codify that, and it's not going to be overridden. That's one thing. We also are going to bring back the Immigrant Protection Act.
Great.
Okay?
Wonderful.
The Immigrant Protection Act that we passed last August by a vote of 11-5. Legislator Williams, I know, was upset because he wasn't there. We shouldn't have taken a vote until he was there, but it happened. And then we tried to override that, and we failed with that override vote in September. So we were not able to override that veto, but we're bringing that back. We may tweak it a little bit, but the Immigrant Protection Act is coming back in very short order. The other thing we started working on last year and made a lot of progress on was earned sick leave for throughout the county.
Okay.
It took New York City 4 years to get this done, so we started working on it this year. It's going to take a little while, but that's a progressive piece of legislation that we want to bring back. Something else that's on my agenda, and I hope will be on others' agendas, is when you go for a job application, a lot of times it says, how much did you make in your last job? Well, is that really important in the job you're seeking now? And it's also discriminatory, especially against women. So we want to get rid of that where you can't ask, what did I make in my last job?
You
So-
can do that in the county?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we
How-
can.
Really? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so that's just some example. And I know there'll be other legislators with items and things that they want to bring forward. So we're working to move Westchester forward in a progressive manner and in a very thoughtful manner.
I know. I'm not sure, and Bob, you could correct me if I'm wrong. I know a lot of states have been passing the ban the box, making it illegal for, well, not requiring jobs to ask you if you had a formal criminal record. Is there anything like that on the radar for Westchester?
Yes, it is. In fact, yes, absolutely. Ban the box.
Great.
That's definitely another issue that we're on.
Great.
In fact,
Great.
I think that was in one of the committees. But
right,
yeah,
yeah.
it's
Oh,
already
okay,
been.
great, yeah.
But remember the way it works. Legislation that's in committee at the end of a legislative term dies. Okay.
Okay.
So it has to be brought back, placed back in committee.
Okay. Since you said that, can you explain how legislation works in the county?
Okay.
From the beginning to voting and going to the county executive.
Legislation can come from many sources. You can bring legislation to us and say, I'm very interested in doing this. For example, at our corrections facility last year, we had one of the correction unions talk about our drones. And brought to me that we needed to pass legislation that would ban drones within 1,000 feet of the correction facility. We started that in August of the previous year, and we passed it last, I think, March or April.
Right.
That's where that bill came from one of the union members.
Yes.
SOA. That we worked
It was
through.
SOA. Let's make it clear it was SOA. So some people don't take credit.
Right. so that's one. But you may have legislation that you want to bring forward. Or we get legislation from the county executive.
Right.
We get legislation from the county attorney. Legislators put through legislation. For example, the Immigrant Protection Act started with legislator Catherine Borgia, working through that.
Right.
And she worked very close with Legislator Jim Mazzano,
Right.
and we had all sorts of advocate groups working on that from last February until we finished that in August. We worked with the state on that. We worked with various lawyers on that,
Right.
making sure that we had it tight.
Right, and one of the things,
Yeah.
just to interject here, we worked also closely with the Legal Aid Society and the
Yeah.
Westchester Black Bar
Bar
Association,
Association,
because I work with them on a lot of the. We have these programs where Legal Aid Society have in different communities meetings, periodic forums to kind of help people who have immigration problems and to kind of allay a lot of the fear. There's a lot of fear out there because of the president and the things that he says.
That's
and
right.
so you need to have people who are standing there with people in their communities, so if they need help, that they can turn to a lawyer and get help. And so we've had this program. I've been working with Legal Aid and Westchester Black Bar, that we go to different communities. I think the last one was during November was in Peekskill, where there was a problem with the government. The last government they're allowing did not want to allow to have the program there. But we're gonna help restart that so that it can be had in Peekskill. We had it in Yonkers, had it at the Yonkers library, and so the Immigrant Protection Act is more than just putting a bill in place on paper. It has to be where we also outreach and help people, because one of the concerns we have is that people get pulled over and arrested, and next thing you know, there's a report going down to ICE
Right.
with their names. And one of I remember in the meeting, I asked the commissioner, I said, how do you determine who should actually, whose name you should send to ICE?
Right.
How do you make that judgment other than profiling someone? And that is exactly what they've done. They had profiled people and decided that if you had a name, a Latino name, or if you spoke with an accent, that would suggest you're foreign born, and therefore they called ICE in. And ICE oftentimes comes in, and people who were legally here, as well as people who were not legally here, were subject to the scrutiny of ICE. So
really, so they
yeah.
wasn't making the decision. That's very interesting because you're supposed to make the decision after they serve their time.
Right? No, they didn't. As a matter of fact, I requested a report. I said I want to see a report that you sent to ICE, and I got the report. They had somebody with a traffic ticket on there.
Right.
You know, that was sent down to ICE. You know,
Right.
I mean, so it is important for us to have this bill that says, hey, in the county of Westchester, you are going to focus on doing the county's work, not the work for the immigration department
Absolutely.
Right.
and national Justice Department. That's not your job, and that can be accomplished without, I know, concerns about some or other security. All those issues are going to are worked out in the bill. It's not a bill that actually goes out and allow and handcuff the police from doing their job. But what it does focus them on doing the job in the county of Westchester rather than doing the work for ICE or another organization or Homeland Security or other immigration agencies.
So you're an illegal alien or an immigrant that's not here legally. I don't know what you want to call it. Can you actually
Undocumented
go to
person.
an
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
An undocumented person. Can you actually go to legal services and get services?
Yeah, yes, an undocumented person.
Really?
Yes.
You know how many people are going to
There are a lot of
In
people.
fact,
Yeah.
in White Plains, Central Hispano is very big into that. The County Hispanic Coalition. So
Right.
that's just two I know of. In fact, I was at the immigration event last spring at St. Bernard's in White Plains. We had like 400 people there.
Right.
We had the mayor there. We had we had Commissioner Chong there, talking about why White Plains was such a welcoming community.
Right.
You know, so we want to do that.
Yeah, that was ruled by a federal judge.
Yeah.
Right.
That they just because they're undocumented does not take away their rights
right.
of every citizen. That and that was a lot of the problems with 287G, a lot of different programs that they were pushing forth,
Yeah.
through immigration.
Right.
When challenged federally, you know, they were actually violating people's rights.
Rights, exactly.
You know, and just because you're undocumented doesn't mean that you lose your civil and
Right,
human rights
exactly.
in the United
Yeah.
States.
And the thing about it is that we should never abide in this county rounding up people and like as if some or other we're some kind of Gestapo organization, and that's what is going on in that. And so it's important for us to have the kind of policing that a resident, documented or not, see a crime and want to report it, that they can call the cop and report it, and they don't have to be afraid that if I call him, he's going to call ICE and I'm going to be out of here or something like that. I mean, that's you have to prevent, because when you have a process that targets a certain segment of the population, what you've done is that you've taken that population out of the whole crime fighting, the ability to help fight crime in the neighborhood. You have issues like domestic violence and domestic relations where people are not able to bring complaints because they're afraid. And so we've got to remove that fear. And we have to pass a bill that does that, and then we have to do the outreach so that people know that Westchester County is not the kind of county that you must be afraid of going to the cops if there is a problem in your neighborhood.
Right.
I wanted to add that, you know, one way to begin to look at the whole issue of the role of state and municipal level police forces in enforcing immigration laws is to see this as an unfunded mandate. Essentially, were the local municipalities to follow the requirements coming down from the federal government, it would create an onerous burden on an already overstretched law enforcement, overstretched law enforcement agencies. My sense is that the best practices in the United States are that undocumented persons who have been arrested would be released unless they had a very serious criminal offense that would require that would deem them a threat to public safety, and therefore that they. And I'm sure that the county legislator is going to include.
We're not talking about in the debate. We're really not talking about people who are convicted for crimes. Those people who have been convicted
I want to be
are going
clear.
to be reported to the immigrant. They're not documented. That's not even an issue. That's been done all along. We're talking about people who haven't committed any crime, who've been living here for a very long time, most of the times, who are law-abiding, and haven't. That's what we're talking about. Because
I was under the impression it was I was under the impression it was people that had committed crimes.
No,
anyone.
They're not covered by this. The people who have committed crimes.
I mean, the people that had not committed crime too.
No,
I mean,
no.
No, this is not.
All right.
And you see, that's the problem.
Because I had a big problem with the immigration bill. I was like, no.
It's if you've committed a crime, you're not covered.
Right.
Okay.
And if there's a warrant out, you're not covered.
Right.
This is for individual traffic ticket. There's no warrant for your arrest.
Right.
We don't want you being reported to ICE. I mean, it's that kind of situation there.
The thing about it is that ICE comes in with what's called a detainer, a document. That's not a warrant.
No.
If ICE wants information,
there you go.
they need to go to a judge
and get a warrant.
I'm talking about on a person who has not been convicted of a crime. They need to go to a judge and make their case to a judge. And if the judge issues a warrant, then we have to follow the warrant. But beyond that, we're not going to follow. We don't want the situation where our cops have to turn around and follow ICE and say, well, this agency, we're going to do their job for them. We have a constitution that really we have also an obligation to protect.
Absolutely.
And we would be subject to the county, be subject to lawsuits also. As an attorney, I can tell you that. You know?
What are some of the things you're going to, I'm sorry, so what are some of the things you're going to tweak?
Well, we're just going to look back at it. I did hear from public safety last year after we had passed the bill that they wanted to do some tweaking. I don't exactly know what that is. I've already talked to the legislator that is going to bring it back, and she says, yes, we've got a few tweaks we want to make. I'm not at liberty to say what they are, but I don't expect them to be major. And this is not a sanctuary city or sanctuary county bill. That's very important to say that.
I'm so glad you're explaining that, because so many people, the hype to be against this bill was that it was protecting criminals.
No,
We're gonna have
not-
we're gonna have all these people come to our county.
Nope.
It's gonna be the
it's-
sanctuary city, and that was what was put out to vote against it, to be
Right.
against it.
Right.
There's a lot of misinformation out there,
Yeah.
and a lot of times people read things, they see things,
Yeah.
they hear things, but until you get down and get into the bill and understand the nuances of it, it's right. There's a lot of information out there that's not accurate. Yeah.
I wanted to add another point why it's very important that the county ensure that we have adequate protections for undocumented residents, and that is because we are now in preparation for the 2020 census. And there's a great deal of concern across the country that the Trump administration is creating a climate of fear and hostility amongst our immigrant community, which may deter people from
Exactly.
cooperating with the Census Bureau, and therefore we could have a very serious undercount. Now, I
Right.
do know, I've followed this distantly. I know that this has been an issue in previous
Yes.
censuses that were done here in the county, and an undercount,
Right.
and that has an adverse effect on our federal dollars in so many
Right.
other ways, and it's only likely to worsen if we don't have laws in place by the time the census proper is conducted that gives our immigrant community certainty that
Right.
they will not be unfairly targeted.
Yeah, you're right. And
Yeah.
I mean, traditionally, undercounting has been predominant in minority communities.
Always.
I mean, it's been. I mean, I can tell you, in the city of Mount Vernon, which I represent, have been substantially undercounted.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
And you're correct in that if you, given the message that's coming from this president, it's going to make it very difficult for people to cooperate with the Census Bureau because they don't know who's knocking on their doors. They don't know if they fill out this form, what is going to matter to them. So I can see persons who are undocumented probably not even wanting to fill out anything and send it in, you know, given the circumstances. So it's important for us to also to have the kind of relationship as a county so that people have a little confidence. It's hard to have confidence in government as it is when you're hearing it from the top. There's what I call abuse. So at the local level, it is up to us to kind of facilitate a different level of relationship and communication.
Right.
There's
I don't-
also one thing
Oh, go ahead.
important to say also, what's going around in the country now with Trump and how he is bashing all these countries. With that
Absolutely.
message. It's important to let the people know also that undocumented people are not only Hispanics.
Right.
Right.
They're
Absolutely.
targeting everybody.
That's right.
And everybody got to come together when it comes
Right.
to that.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
I just want to, and I'm going to send this to you. I'm not sure if you're well aware. I'm very interested in what public safety has to say about the immigration bill because they do have a policy that already mirrors what y'all trying to do.
Right.
So I don't want it to be, I want them to be honest with you guys. And I'm going to, it's policy number 1108,
Yeah, we know
right?
that. We know
Yeah,
that.
that's what I'm
We
saying.
know
So
that.
I don't want, they
Yeah,
already
the
have.
policy was in place for a number of years.
Right,
And
that's
they
the thing.
changed it. You see, because
See, all
they
right.
changed it
Okay.
in that they
Informal.
were not complying with that policy. We had the public safety,
Yeah.
the commissioner of corrections in.
There you go.
We had the the commissioner of the police in, and we had them
Good.
examined on the record.
Good.
And I come to the conclusion, if you go back and look at the tape, the questions I've had with him, they changed the policy. They said we have this policy, but in fact, they're not applying it.
Right.
In other
And that's
words.
and
So
and-
that's why that's the reason why it's important for us to make it a law.
right.
Right.
Because
Absolutely.
you can't have policies
If you don't
that
follow.
are going to shift by who the county executive
Yeah,
is.
There you go.
Or the
who the-
president.
or the president
Right.
of the United States.
Right. And I thought it was strange when I was when I was watching
Yeah.
the whole thing. I'm
Oh,
like
yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute. That's not what the policy.
Oh, yeah, we're aware of
he's
the
going.
policy.
He's going against his own policy.
Yeah, exactly. They were not following that policy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we will
Because that
definitely
policy's
make sure
been in
that,
place
yeah,
for a while.
yeah.
Right.
I
Yeah.
thought
Right.
you said 30-some years.
Yes,
if I
exactly.
remember.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I remember that. correct.
Exactly.
But
And they could not reconcile their actions to
With
what the
their-
policy was on when the questions were asked.
Talking about a lot of misinformation getting out there, what, if anything, do y'all plan to do to better communicate to the community. You know, like what I find out, whether it's the city of Mount Vernon, or whether it's on the county level, or whether it's on the national level, the information does not always get to, especially like the south side of Mount Vernon, or the people that really need the information, and they go by what they hear, and they end up voting against their best interests and stuff. What, if anything, are y'all going to do to better communicate with the because there's much needed in the urban.
Well, we will have a new communications director that will be coming in, that will be working for us at the board. So we're going to use more outreach, more communications. Also, I would hope that all legislators would be out in their districts more, talking to people, letting them know what we're really working on. And also, I want to make sure that you will see the meeting agenda. I just looked at a new draft today. We're going to soon publish that meeting agenda. Come to the board meetings.
There you go. Thank you.
And if you have time, come to the committee meetings. Or you can view those committee meetings at any point in time that you want to. Stay involved, stay informed, and a lot of misinformation will go away. But we also need the legislators, all of us, out there talking about what we're doing at the county board.
And speaking as the editor of Black Westchester, like Lyndon does a good job emailing. I get an email blast of what needs. It would help if we can get more cooperation from the legislator on what's going out, so we can put the word out. We can't properly put the word out to the people if we're not getting it.
Well, we can. I think that the Black Westchester. I had asked the last communications director to put Black Westchester as one of the press.
We will put that. Make sure.
So we'll make sure.
I think we are now with the. Didn't you receive from Latimer's office?
No, from the Board of Legislators.
From the Board of Legislators.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, we had asked them.
We will make sure when we get a new communications
that the new
director.
director had Black Westchester.
I talked to the last one. And he gave him my information. He asked for it. And I still ain't getting it.
All right. We will make sure that we'll take care of that.
Let me ask a great question, because Legislator Boykin, you brought up people coming to the legislators' meetings and coming to the committee meetings. How is it important for county workers to come to those meetings and know what's going on and what decisions are made? For actually county workers, because I stress in correction, go to the legislators' meetings, find out what's going on. Go if you're in public safety, go to how is it important for even county workers to play a role and know what's going on from the legislative process?
At the committee meetings, in the committee room, that's where the work of the Board of Legislators really takes place. That's where we discuss issues. That's where we debate the bills that are going to go forward to the full legislative body. If individuals have issues, they can send us by email. They can write us. They can telephone us. They can pigeonhole us right after the meetings and let us, as you've done.
As I do all the time.
So in other words, that's the people helping form the policies of the government. That's where it takes place, in the committee room. It's important to be there. And you may see something. I've always found from my business career, the best ideas you get a lot of times come from the workers.
There you go.
Okay?
There you go.
I mean, they come because they are seeing what's going on each and every day.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to look more and more for that type of outreach.
Lyndon,
I agree. I want to sign on to that because I think the last administration had somewhat chilled the activity of the employees because like a large number of the employees are CSCA union members. They had been demonized in the publicly, and so a lot of employees would talk to us on the side, but they wouldn't publicly come to a meeting because they were concerned about their jobs. I think this is a new administration. George Latimer is not that way. There'll be a lot more transparency and openness, and that will encourage employees to be more, they can come up with greater ideas about how you can make county government better. You've come up with some things, Damon, that that has helped, and we are better off when we're hearing from everybody.
Absolutely.
Because when you look at it, we're all in this together. If the county government works, it works for everybody.
That's right.
I know y'all are on the press for time.
Yeah, I just got one more.
I would be remiss if I let y'all walk out of here without addressing Memorial Field.
Oh
Okay.
wait,
Yeah,
hold
I'll
on.
talk about it, yeah.
I just want one more thing because we got a lot of county workers watching, and I want to address from the legislators' process, right? The approval of contracts. See, because it's a lot of misconception
Right.
on it passing, not passing. When it address that process,
Okay.
because people don't know the actual process of how it comes from the
Like union
negotiations.
contracts, for instance.
Right,
Union
yes,
contracts.
union contracts.
Okay.
When it comes from negotiations to your
Okay.
floor to get passed, to get
Okay.
put in place.
The Board of Legislators are not involved in negotiating contracts.
Okay.
That's number one. A lot of times we don't even know negotiations are taking place. Okay? When the contracts are negotiated between the union and the administration, because that's who is empowered to do those negotiations, the county executive's office. Once they are approved, each party has approved them, signed off on them, they come to the Board of Legislators for an up or down, yes or no vote. They will come on the agenda, be referred to the committee that's going to be law, and I'm not going to talk about what else it's going to be called. It'll be referred to Budget and Appropriations Committee, Legislation Committee, most likely, and then it'll come from that to the full board for a yes or no vote.
Okay.
We do not negotiate contracts.
Right.
Okay.
Period. Point
Right,
blank.
and when it comes to the board, it goes through a process
Yes.
where it gets referred to a committee. The committee then actually would call in the let's say the commissioner of that department and would ask him questions about what the terms of the contract is about, the funding for the contract, in other words, whether the money's in the budget or not in the budget, and things of that nature.
Right.
Now, we may decide on whether to move forward or not move forward based on those information we have received. In terms of move forward, up or down vote,
Right.
based on the information we received. And so that's the way that it works generally.
Right. Because and
yeah.
the reason why I say that, because there's a lot of confusion up at the jail, because it was reported that you did approve the contract, and officers expected their money the first.
Well, Let me make sure.
So we just want to be
was
clear.
not the point. There was more of a budget issue. When the contracts are approved,
Right.
we look to the budget. We look to see whether money is there to fund what we're approving. Because you pass a law and you don't have the money, it's like give somebody a bounce check.
Right.
Basically.
Right.
Because you don't have the money to pay. So we look to whether or not the money is there. The administration who negotiate the contract should ensure when they do that and they say to us that the money is there, because it's not up to us to really put the money in for the contract, because we negotiated.
Right.
And so I think that was the issue with the corrections contract that caused some confusion, because we didn't have the budget that we had did not have the money in that budget for the contract.
Okay.
It did. Now, we spoke to the county executive, incoming county executive. He says, look, move forward with it. I'm going to work with the unions, and I'm going to work around and see if we can, what we can do.
Okay.
And that's fine with us. But
Right.
we will not move forward with an administration who did not give us any kind of inkling in terms of what they intended to do, and just send us a contract without money in the budget for it. And so that was really the delay. And I think the Lyndon administration really played a great role coming in with all of the problems they have, to try to actually be fair with the unions,
Right.
to say, look, we're not going to look back, we're going to look forward, we're going to try to make this work. And that was a great thing that he did as a new county executive. And I think that he has a way of understanding the workers, understanding that people have like families to feed, and people don't have to understand that you need to deal with unions in a fair and balanced way. And so he decided to move forward with it, and we move forward. because there's a commitment now to try to find the money for
So,
it.
so the process is now
Right.
finding the money.
Money.
The process
Find-
now is finding the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, so everybody be
Yeah.
clear, and people that are watching, you know, so they understand, because it's a lot of different things.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
I mean,
And I think
ideally,
clarity is
yeah.
important.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Clarity is
yes.
important, yeah, because what happens then is people come back and they point fingers and say, well, the legislators
Well,
Yeah.
Well,
are not,
well, they
you know,
already.
not
It's
approving
already
our
being done.
contract.
It's already
You know what I
being
mean?
done. Right.
And that is
Right.
because they don't know.
Thank
But
you.
they don't know that that's not the process. The
Mhm.
process is that we approve an up and down vote. The money has to be there for
Yeah.
you to get paid at the end of the day.
Right.
We are hesitant sometimes because we don't want to approve a vote, and we don't seem to have a commitment from the people who negotiate the contract,
Right.
and we end up in a situation where we approve a contract that doesn't have the money to fulfill it.
Right.
So I think that the difference in this is that you had a person coming in, the change in the county executive, and the new county executive coming in was willing to try to work this out.
Okay.
You know, that's what the process. We got to still find the money for it.
Okay.
You know.
All right.
Lastly, like I said,
Okay.
I just wanted I wanted to get to see if you can speak on Memorial Field
Well,
with the new
I
administration.
can deal with that. Yeah, Ben has to go.
Yes.
MLK.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you for
Chairman on
coming.
the board.
And,
Chairman on the board.
let this not be last time.
Yeah.
Open door.
The first of me.
The
That's
open-
right,
open
that's right,
door.
that's right.
Whenever you have something you need to discuss, feel free to come through.
Thank
All right.
Good to meet you.
MLK.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Take care.
I'm also going to say goodbye, everyone.
All right.
Tell Aunt Di saying happy
Yes.
birthday.
I will be sure to.
Yes.
All right.
Much prayers.
Sergeant Williams, Brooke, everyone, I'll see y'all later.
Okay. Well, Brooke, you can take that seat. Yeah.
Yeah. I hope everybody got all of that, and if you didn't, please feel free to watch the video again. A lot of information was given. We thank the chairman for coming through and taking the time to explain all the things that he did explain.
Yeah, it was
And,
very good. Very
it was
good.
very good information. So I just like to applaud him for coming through, taking the time to come through.
Yeah. Now Memorial Field.
Yeah. I mean, now
I'm
we
glad
got
to talk about
we
it,
got
yeah.
well, we got a new county exec.
Yes.
Who's from Mount Vernon, but so was the other one. But this one
Right.
was like
Yeah.
cares a little bit more about Mount Vernon.
Yes. Yes.
All of Mount Vernon. Let's put it
Right.
that way. And the shift in the legislator.
Yeah.
What does that mean for Memorial Field as far as
Yeah.
Mount Vernon is concerned?
Well, I think that let me step back from the county perspective.
Right.
There hasn't been any change in the money allocated for Memorial Field. That money is still there. It's been there, but the problem is that there are things that the city has to do, and that's what the whole delay has been with Memorial Field. It's not been with the county. It's been what the city had to do. Let me bring you up to date. As of now, the things that the city has to do is the cleanup. The city entered a consent decree with the DEC. That consent decree says they have to get rid of the contaminated fill, or they have to remediate it within a specific period of time. I think the city paid a fine of like $40,000 or
$40,000, yeah.
$50,000. And that time frame, and I think that time frame, my recollection based on reading the consent decree was December 31st of 2017. So we need to sit down, and one of the things I plan to do is sit down with the city to find out where they are. Once the city has remediated the stadium from the contamination, then we can move right ahead to get the stadium done, get the field done. There was another issue about the demolition also. There were two issues: the remediation of the contaminated dirt on the field, and secondly, the demolition of the old stadium. As I said, the county had advanced $2 million toward that demolition. The city had until December 31st, I understand, to either bring a lawsuit against the contractor that was paid to demolish the stadium, but did not demolish it, to either recover the funds or have the work done. I don't know where that is, because I had spoken to the mayor about that a couple of months ago. As a matter of fact, I wrote them several letters. and saying, well, you need to kind of decide what you're going to do about this. And so I'm still waiting to hear back from the city in terms of where they are on that. But we're going to have a meeting. We're going to have a meeting with the city council and the new administration, Mr. Latimer's administration, and we're going to come up with a solution of how we're going to deal with Memorial Field. And I think it's going to be a solution that hopefully will not be one where the county is just sitting back and waiting, because the prior administration, the Astorino administration, even though he couldn't really take the money back, they did not act proactively.
Mm-hmm.
They sat back, and if the city didn't move, then the city didn't move, and it didn't get done. And I believe that the Latimer administration, being that he's a Mount Vernon guy, he will want to see this done. And actually, I think he's going to play a larger role in kind of actively trying to get it done, and that's important.
And the reason I
hopefully that's done with the city's cooperation.
Right, and the reason
that's what you've got to and people have got to pay attention to.
Right, absolutely.
Really, because if it's in all of our interests that that stadium gets done.
And again, for the fact of putting out proper information, both the current and former mayor have blamed the county and you know what I'm saying, for holding the money, just not giving them the money, and that's why they couldn't finish it.
Well, if
that
I
was
give
the
them the money, we
storyline.
probably would have had the money gone, but the stadium still the way it is. You know, so we give them $3.4 million, $2 million to take the stadium down.
Right.
Almost that $2 million almost gone, but the stadium is still standing.
Right.
Absolutely.
Hopefully the trucks.
You know, so I mean, I don't think it was a matter of giving them the money, because if it was, tell me something, any one of you, if you're in that position, would you release the money?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
No,
I mean,
absolutely not.
I couldn't release it on my own,
Right.
but I certainly would not put, if you don't have accountability, I will not push to put more money in anybody's hands until they account for the money that they've been given.
Right. But that makes it hard for you to get more money from Mount Vernon.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So I think that this is gonna be done, because I think, look, Mount Vernon residents, I feel so bad because they've waited so long, and they've waited so patiently to get this field done. It should have been done a long time ago.
3 different administrations.
Yes, exactly, and it's not been done. And I got a feeling with this new county executive, we have a chance to really kind of move in the right direction and get this done. But it's going to be, and you guys are going to play an important role. The public is going to play an important role, because to get something done, the public got to actually take a position.
Right.
That yes, this is the way we want to go.
You know,
and we're not going to wait through this
Right.
this nonsense that's been going on for years.
Right.
And I think when we meet and we come up with a plan and we say, look, this is the best plan to get it done, the public is going to have to get behind that if
Right.
we're going to get this thing done.
I think they just need to see something, because
Yeah.
for so long they've galvanized, they've marched, they've come to town hall meetings. There's a lot of people that they're just sick and tired. They just want it done. They don't want to come out to nothing else.
I've been a part of all those marches.
Right.
I've been one who organized those marches.
They didn't want to come out no more. They don't want to hear nothing. They just want it done.
I know. And that is it's not their fault. It's really the fault of I think that the blame really lies, the city government has control over the stadium. Believe you me, if I had control over it as a county legislator, that would have been done. It would have been done. But I don't have the control.
Well,
all I had the control over is to try to get the money for them and try to facilitate the discussions between the city and the Astorino administration. And at one point they started discussing, they left me out totally, and they were having their discussions, and it's not until problems occurred that they called me back in and said, well, we need your help. You know, so I think that we can get it done, and I think that there's going to be a great opportunity, and I hope we don't miss it. I don't miss this opportunity.
Right.
I appreciate that. Any other questions, anybody?
No, I'm good. You welcome. We get ready to start corrections, man.
All right.
You're welcome to stay, brother.
No, well, I gotta go.
Let me get on out of
But
here.
I want to, first of all, let me thank you guys for.
Thank you for coming.
Being here.
Thank you for coming.
Invitation, and let me. Anytime you need me, I'll be here. Just
Yes,
call
sir.
me. Let me
Yes,
know.
sir.
Well, again,
All right.
anytime you need us,
Okay.
Yeah.
you know that
Thank
door is
you.
open. You know.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And I'll
All right.
talk to you this week. We need to
Okay.
follow up on those people, those other people.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Thank you,
Okay.
thank you,
Take care.
thank you. Lyndon Williams, County Legislator Lyndon Williams, and he set the record straight for Memorial Field, and it's up to the people at the end of the day. We got to get out there
And make it happen.
and make it happen.
Right,
And make it
now,
happen.
We got a whole lot of people on the check-in. Maximo Palenko, is that his name?
Yeah.
He said hello to all my coworkers from the county jail. What's up, DK Jones? What's up, Miss Jones? And hello, Sergeant Lopez.
Hello, Palenko.
We got Frank, truly our Uncle Frank's in the house. Glenn Butler is in the house. Stephen Lewis from the Atlantic Star. Sandy Barnaby. Jeff Red. Joanne. Ben Fox. Gail Baxter. Philip L. Humphrey. The Future Society. D. Wilson. Keith DJ Classy K. Harrison. Pat English, Nicole Jones, Councilman Andre Wallace,
Andre.
Dawn Dobbs. Craig Jackson says, I support the People Before Politics movement first because they are truly for the people first, and the people are what matters first, not politics. Damon K. Jones is on his job and doing what he is proving to do. For all of you out there who care about your well-being, Damon K. Jones, I salute you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Andre Wallace, Councilman Andre Wallace said, great job. We also have, who else? Judge Adrian Armstrong. Look for an upcoming article from him he submitted for the February edition
Great.
of Black Westchester.
Great. And let us know when you're available to come on the show.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
There's more comments and stuff, but basically that's it. That's the bulk of it. So thank you everybody who's tuned in. Keep listening.
Yes. So, Sergeant Lopez, what's going on? Tell everybody about your organization and how long it's been in existence, and and the work that your organization, the Hispanic. Well, you have many hats. So the Hispanic Society and so people can know what the organization does.
Okay, let me go by.
And pull your mic to you so we hear you good.
There you go.
All right, let me go by mentioning the hats that I wear. Some of them are in the car too. President of the Westchester Hispanic Law Enforcement Association. I'm on my 5th year.
Okay.
Chairman of the Yonkers Hispanic Cultural Foundation. We run the Yonkers Hispanic Day Parade for the last 3 years, and we're going to be doing it again this year. It's comprised of a lot of members of WHLEA in it. I say WHLEA, that's Westchester Hispanic Law Enforcement Association for short. Vice President of the Yonkers Hispanic Federation Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
I was part of the Westchester County DA's transition team. I am part of the Westchester Hispanic Law Advisory Board with the county. Past SOA second vice president for 4 years. Past COBA delegate. What else? We got more stuff. And basically that's it for my titles now.
So we got the president of the Westchester Hispanic Law Enforcement Association sitting next to the president of the Black Law Enforcement Association president, and the president of Westchester
That's a Corrections
Association.
Yes.
So corrections is definitely represented.
This is
in
a
that.
lot of corrections going on right now.
And someone that's been in corrections, does that count?
Is there somebody named Lewis Sonny Williams
Yes.
Jr. said
L.D.
C.O.
Williams.
Williams swine flu. I guess that
Swine,
means
yeah,
something.
that's his post.
Oh, okay. And Tasha said hello all.
Hey, Tasha.
Hey, Tasha.
Tasha, I don't have a long list, unfortunately. Just starting out.
Yeah,
So, one
she's
of these
just
days,
starting
I
out.
like, I like that list.
Oh, okay. I'll share it with you.
Yeah. I can take one of those hats
She's
from
gonna
you.
get there.
But you've been doing a great job since you got started. I mean, you holding it down.
Yes,
you
yes, I
definitely
appreciate that.
you're out there. You represent.
There's a lot of
Yeah,
outreach.
yeah,
Definitely.
yeah.
Appreciate
I see
that.
you
Thank
more than some people that have been in positions way longer than you. That's all I'm saying.
Listen.
Thank you.
You know, I mean, I think it was very important for Chairman Boykin to talk about the involvement, and as correctional officers, I think we need to be more involved in the political process in the county.
Definitely.
I mean, you know, Lopez, he's all over. You know, he's got pictures. He's with everybody. But you know, that's what our unions are supposed to be doing. You know, that's what's lacking with our union representation on the issues. Is actually sitting down and explaining what we go through, and I don't think we do it enough. I don't think individually as officers we do it enough. You know, if we don't reach out to the legislative body, or reach out to the county exec, because he said many a times in he has an open door for county employees. We'll be fools moving forward. We will definitely we will definitely be fooled. What do you think, Hector? I got to put Hector. Get up in there, Hector. Yeah.
I agree that our unions and anyone's union, they're there for the people. They get elected to represent their members, and if they're not bringing the issues to the politicians are not hearing us. They don't know what's going on. But a title means nothing if you're doing nothing for your members.
Right.
And like all these titles that I've had, they're nothing if I don't have good people behind me. And with the Westchester Hispanic Law Enforcement Association, I'm in my 5th year, and we reach out to everyone. Our organization is a Hispanic organization, yet we have an African American board member. We have an Italian board member. We have women. We have everybody in there. We include everyone in there.
That's right.
And that is why we're very successful. 21 years. And if you ever go to our event, anyone in politics is there. If you go to the website, you'll see the former President Clinton addressing us via satellite. On top of that, we've had, like I said, anyone who's everyone there, but they come to us. We don't go and solicit them. They know that law enforcement, every member of our organization is from a different department. President Obama even took one of my members and made him the first Hispanic U.S. Marshal of the Southern District. You know, and that is actually Mike Greco. He is Puerto Rican. He has a different last name, but the bottom line is, everybody that we honor at our events gets recognized. We even honored our former Deputy Commissioner Wanda Smithson.
Yes.
You know, and we're honoring people like that because other organizations are not doing it.
That's right.
Absolutely.
You know, and if it takes a Hispanic organization to put someone of African American descent there to show our association and our politicians to come that these people do a great job and they should be acknowledged. They're supposed, other organizations should take a page out of that and do it, because if you don't acknowledge it, no one will.
Absolutely.
And I like to say this is not union bashing. You know, I just wanted to just put that out there. And everybody is welcome to come on the show. I mean, if they disagree with anything that Hector, myself, or Brooke is saying, they're welcome to come on the show. So, we can move forward in that. So people can't say that we're bashing. We're just saying what's going on, because, there are great people that work in the Westchester County Department of Correction. They are great officers. They are great sergeants. They are great captains. All the way, great captains. So, and so, but we have our disagreements, but we do the job that we're supposed to do. But we also, when you have an organization that is supposed to represent you, you have to give back. You know, you have to give back to those, you know, that are working hard. You know, and it's just not, you know, and I'm just not criticizing the current leadership. I was critical when I was a union delegate for 13 years, you know, and us not actually recognizing. And, you know, and I think under Joe, we used to have black tie. We used to have dinner dances and black tie affairs, but then, you know, that stopped too. But, you know, we have to recognize, you know, the hard work of the officers and not actually take it for granted. You know, because morale, you know, that's how you keep morale up, you know. So if you have other organizations, if your unions is not doing it, it's up to the local fraternal organizations, you know, to do it to do it also, you know, and that's what it is. I mean, I've been giving Women History Month awards for the last 15 years, you know, to officers in corrections, and you know, so it's we have to continue. You know, we have to continue to do it. We have to continue to do it. If nobody else is going to do it.
Absolutely.
Just for my sense, my union is doing the best they can with the situation they have in hand. Our way of how we are employed and how the jobs we do is a job that no one, you could take a politician, give him our job for one day. He will never come back.
Absolutely,
and
that's right.
I mean, we deal with anything and everything that walks in through that door. We are psychiatrists. We are, you know, counselors. We are
your mama, your daddy,
babysitters,
doctors,
babysitters. Telling grown men how to act, you know, because they're acting like children back. You know, so many things, but. That's just the nonviolent parts, but the other parts that the public don't see is what DK was saying last week, which was the feces and the urine and everything that when we walk in. It's the only job when you walk in, no one says good morning. You don't get flowers. You get a cocktail.
Right,
not
right.
the type that you drink. You know, and you get cursed out for a good morning. But it is not from our members. We're talking about the individuals.
Well, sometimes the officers too. Yeah.
I just want to say to all of y'all and to all the correction officers that are listening, I have a lot of respect for y'all because what a lot of people don't know, like a lot of people see the actions of the police and what the police do, they don't see y'all because y'all are inside, so they don't get to see y'all. And what y'all, when the police arrest people and they take the worst people off the street, that's who y'all are there with. You know what I'm saying? Like the people that are too dangerous and we don't want on the street, y'all are charged with watching them and working with them. And you know, everybody can't do that, so I give y'all credit. You got a shout out from Craig D. Hodges Jr. Good evening. Tell Sergeant Lopez hello for me.
Clyde.
Oh, Clyde. I said, what did I say?
You said Craig.
Craig. I'm sorry, Clyde. Louis Sonny Williams Jr. said after hearing you, he said, I need to build my resume up. And somebody
been telling you that a long time, Louis.
I started 20 years
Come
ago.
on, Sonny. Come on.
Somebody named Kevin Seck said bullpen cleaner.
Yeah, he's talking to Louis.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Wilson Torrero is on. Simone Combs, Michelle Breeze Johnson, Nesto Acosta, DJ Nesto from Virginia. Thank you for listening.
Well, while we were talking about the corrections aspect of our jobs, whether you're a supervisor or a captain or an officer, I pride myself to have a very good relationship with all of them, including the officers, and I don't think anyone can have a complaint with that because I've been there, I've done that, and I know that they're in that role now. I remember 21 years ago when I got this job, I was in the academy, and then I got pulled out of the academy for a moment and said, you need to go home. I said, why? Something happened. That's when I found out that my brother was killed in Yonkers. And he was killed on February 14th.
Right.
Then one day, I was, I graduated, and then that same, a couple of months later, while I'm walking into one of the dorms.
It was J block.
It was H.
It was H? Thought it was J.
H.
Okay.
And I'm walking, and I took the block in the morning, at 7 in the morning, all the lights are off. But when I walked in, I felt this chill, like something evil was there. So I walk down and I do my tour. I hit the phone in the back, hit the phone. Then I come back, and then I stop and I see this guy laying down, covered to the top. And I said, why did I stop here? And I continued to walk. I looked at the floor sheet to see how many, who was that person, because I never had this feeling ever. So I walk, and I looked at the floor sheet, and mind you, my brother was killed on February 14th, which is the second month, the 14th day. I looked at bed 2-14, and that was where the killer of my brother was laying.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I walked up to him again, and I said, you know what? There was a fire extinguisher next to me, and I said, let me go bash this guy in the head. I thought about the coward that he was. And I said, if I do this, then I'm going to be just a coward, like he did, killing my brother when he wasn't looking.
Wow.
You know what? There was an inmate sitting down named JB. Those are his initials. And he said, Lopez, I know what's going on. I know who this guy is. Walk away, let me handle him. And I told him, thank you, but you know what? Don't dirty your hands with this garbage. We're going to do it the right way. Even though it hurts me, we're going to do it the right way. So I did what I had to do. I called the supervisor. They came. They took him out within a minute. And that was the end that I heard from him. And they sent him to Rikers. But people that work in corrections deal with a lot of stuff. There's personal stuff here.
Absolutely.
And you deal with it every day. And then I dealt with it when some of the inmates would say, "Oh, we're glad your brother's dead," blah blah blah. So
Wow.
this is people don't see those things.
Right.
Right.
Then we come home, but we don't tell. I made sure no one in my family ever knew what day I was having at work. To this day, no one knows because I never told my wife or my children, this happened today, this happened. I leave my job at work. At 3 o'clock, I don't care what happens, but I have to do, if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have all these titles, wouldn't have all these good people behind us doing good things out there. I would just be a miserable person.
But
I want to say something real quick, and I thank you for sharing that, because Lorraine has shared some, how she felt, and I can't imagine that. And the only thing I could think of, Damon, I never told you the story. So Lorraine's taking me to Yonkers to distribute the newspaper, and then she said she's gonna put some in the store, and then she comes back with this look on her face, and she's like, "Yo, you see the dude that opened the door for me?" I said, "Yeah, that's the dude that killed my brother." Like I've never been at for a loss of words. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't even know what to say. Like and imagine what that's like. So I
Yeah,
I can't even
I
imagine.
was so angry.
I didn't know what to say. Like for real, what do you say?
right.
And then I felt bad because if she wasn't giving out the papers, she wouldn't have never came across them.
Right.
Like, so I was like,
Yeah, you're a better person because I don't know what I would have
Well,
done.
Well,
if I
she
had
said
been
she
in that
said she
situation.
was.
I would have wore his ass out.
She
I
said
know,
she was about to go
I
do
mean-
something.
Consequences later.
I mean, it was how many? What you're talking? What 21 years ago?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was that time, man. We
Right.
would have whipped his
Cameras.
ass. That wasn't no cameras, wasn't no cameras and all that shit going on back then. 21 years ago, we would have whipped his ass.
You knew. This this is your job. You're not even there for a couple of months,
That's it.
and you have
Not
to
worth
think.
losing your
You
job
know,
over,
I had twins. I was unemployed, and I finally got a job. So I had to think about doing the right thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But, you know, I mean, these are the things that, you know, people don't know. You know, what the stress,
Right.
you know, that correction officers face. And I will say it, I don't care. I think the unions have failed to relay, to control that narrative in the press, to control that narrative at the county building, to control that narrative with elected officials and the public on what we actually go through.
Right.
You know, just because we're in Westchester County doesn't mean that it's a daycare, or it's a kids club or anything like that. You know, we go through the same stressors that they go through at Sing Bedford, and
Rikers
you know,
Island.
Rikers Island. You know, we deal with the we deal with the same type of same type of inmate. You know, I mean, we get assaulted, we get cut, we go through everything any other correctional facility, you know, go through. But and it's sad that it's not relayed, you know, so people will actually know what we do, and that correction officers get the respect that they deserve in Westchester County. You know, I had an officer this morning ask me, because they have a bill out there in New Jersey, right, where they're going to call them correction police, right? They get ready to pass the bill, right? So they asked me, you know, well, hey, you know, let's support this bill. I said, absolutely not. I'm not a police officer. I'm not. I don't want to be called correction police. What kind of shit is that? I mean, what kind is that? That's for these young officers that want to be cops, can't pass the test, and then they come over to corrections and they get a job. You want to be a police officer, go be a police officer.
Yeah.
We have the same powers as in New York State. I'm speaking in New York State. We have the same powers as a police officer off duty. We have the same. We are under the same law as a peace officer of the state. What the hell I want to be a police officer for? I respect the police officers. Absolutely. I sleep with one every night. You understand? So I respect them, you know, and I respect the job. But I'm not running to Albany and trying to change my name to be a police officer.
Right.
I have pride in being a correction officer. I have pride that I know I could walk in a block of 60 or so without a gun, without a taser, right? And defuse a situation without killing nobody. I have pride in that. So, you know, I think we need to have our leadership that represent our interests have the same damn pride and speak out sometime and say something, you know, when it needs to be said, you know, so the membership know that you really have our backs.
Yeah, because either way you look at it,
Okay, go ahead.
whether they change the name correction police, it's still going to be considered second class to them. You know what I mean? They're still going to have
think it's
police,
gonna
and then
be
you have
worse.
correction police.
Right.
They're gonna say
Correction police,
correction
I'm
police.
not-
You ain't no
Well,
real
sit down.
police.
Right.
What's a correction police?
Right.
You know,
Right.
we'll be the butt of all jokes.
Yeah, it's bad
But it's
enough
just- yeah, it
that
doesn't make no
our
sense.
union has precincts on our calendars. You
Right.
know,
That's
like who
another
the hell?
thing.
We don't work in a
Yeah.
precinct. I don't understand. Maybe he's going to lobby for that type of bill because he doesn't know we don't work in precincts. So I mean, you know, it will get worse because it'd be like we're trying to be like them. You know, and we're not just being ourselves and
Right.
and demanding the respect,
Respect,
you know,
yeah.
for the job that we do. You know, police, they do what they're supposed to do. Correctional officers, we do what we're supposed to do. You know, and we need to have pride in that. We're the largest law enforcement department in the goddamn county.
Right.
We should walk around with our chest out instead of trying to be like somebody else. It's ridiculous.
But then again, that falls back on the union, and you know, recognizing us. You know, making sure that we're out there getting the information to the public. And like you said, you brought up a good point. Now is the time. You know, we got an open door policy. You know, with the county exec and the legislators, how we should get more involved, and you know, the meetings and the committee meetings and all like that. I think now is a good time. If we can't get it done now, we can't get it done.
Have they ever mistaken the Hispanic Society for SOA?
What?
Have they ever did that? No. When you talk to the politicians, they never mistaken the Hispanic Society for SOA, right? They never say, oh, you know, they never mistaken the organizations, right?
I don't
No.
No,
All right,
they know that I was SOA. A lot of them know that I
yeah,
was
but they
SOA.
know.
Does SOA work with you? Does SOA work with you with the Hispanic Society?
When I was vice president, I brought SOA to a lot of events, and we did a couple of joint things together.
Oh, that's good.
Like the
They
bulletproof
support.
vests thing where we collected bulletproof vests for countries like Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico that the officers didn't have any. So we did a little research over there, and we found police officers walking around with bulletproof vests that were ripped and soiled, and they used them 24 hours a day. They passed it to the next guy and to the next guy. So we decided to collect bulletproof vests from all over the county, and we got support from
PBA.
actually PBAs, Yonkers Ph.d, White Plains, Westchester COBA, Westchester SOA. We got a whole bunch of, like, organized all this, and then, and we did a big press conference in
Nice.
Donkoki in White Plains, and it was huge.
Nice,
We were all over the world also, because I went to other countries because they sent representatives from the news.
Nice, very
there.
nice.
But the whole idea was all these law enforcement associations together
Came together. Yeah.
with the community
That's what it's
and
all
the
about.
businesses to unite as one and help our fellow brothers in blue all over the world, basically.
Yes.
And my organization does that. We do a lot of we did a couple of toy drives this year, and we got it to children, and it's not only Hispanic children. We do it for any children, not just Hispanic. But we did toy drives. We donated toys to hospitals. We donated toys to Centro Hispano, like Boykin was talking about earlier today. Yonkers. What we try to do is we try to put the community in touch with law enforcement, and since we do have officers from almost every municipality, we can go to those areas and those little towns and help out.
Right.
But the whole goal is uniting, one badge, one united family.
That's right.
And that that's how we characterize ourselves.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, and another thing, when you want to do an event, you want people to come back the next time you do it. You want the supporters to come back. If you're gonna have an event and you're gonna dress like a bum, the person that comes in says, these people are not taking it serious.
Right.
You won't see them again.
Thank you.
You will not see them again. Okay.
And he's
So-
gonna say something.
Right. They
Yeah,
don't.
that's a thing,
Look,
definitely.
this is people for politics, man. We
Yeah.
say it as it is.
That's right.
You want to look like gangster rappers and all that other stuff. You got to because you got to represent yourself.
Right.
Right. Why? Because we want to make what? More money, right?
We want to get
And we
the
want,
support.
and we want money. Listen, at the end of the day, it's about money, bro. We want to make more money. We have to look like we deserve the money, right? We have to look like we deserve the money, and they have to know that we're human.
Right.
There's a level of civility when you deal, and you know it because you've been doing it. It's a level of civility when you deal with people that control the checks that come into your bank account, right? That you have to deal with that. We fell away as correction officers in Westchester County. We fell away of understanding that. We think it's going to happen overnight, or it's just a contract negotiation process. No, listen, your contract is like a good woman, right? You just don't come home and jump on your wife and think she's gonna make love to you. No.
What?
You gotta sprinkle a little love on it, right?
You said what?
Right. You gotta sprinkle a little love on it. You gotta talk nice to her. You gotta bring her some flowers. You gotta do nice things to your wife for her to get her in that mood. That's the same.
That's another show.
Right. But that's the same thing when you want money from the county. Right? You gotta treat them a certain way. You gotta sit and you gotta talk to them a certain
You
way.
got to represent.
Thank you.
And
Because
and
any place
you-
else you'd have to dress up for your job. You got to dress up.
Right.
You go to a
No,
job
but
interview,
I'm
you gotta
talking
dress up
over.
everything.
I'm talking over a period of time.
Right.
You know, you see, you've done it over a period of time. You have your functions, you go to different meetings, you sit down, you educate them on what Hispanic officers and what y'all go through, you know, and your pride, and the same way with people that represent us when it comes to our money and our rights and our benefits. They got to do the same thing. You know, they got to sprinkle a little love on it. You know, I remember Joe Spano when it was secretary month, right? He'll buy every secretary on the 8th and 9th floor some roses or a pot of flowers, right? Now, when he walks up in there, he get love from everybody. You understand? So it's the way that you do it, so you can have your relationships. So you and at the end of the day, it's the betterment. It's the get that stuff is the contract, right? When you get that contract, you get a better contract. If we look at our contracts, it's not reflecting no love. It's not reflecting that they actually put time in it. It's something on the table, and it's given to us, and it's here, and it's vote on it. We ain't gonna get nothing better than this. Yada 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 yada. And we know in our heart, just like a woman, when you don't treat her right, we know in our heart this is bullshit. So we need leadership. You know, we need leadership in our department that's going to sprinkle some love out there for us. You know, so we can get love back. Because right now we ain't getting no love. You know, and I'm gonna go and say it. If it wasn't for people like you, if it wasn't for Brooke, you know, if it wasn't for Maxwell, if it wasn't for us beating down the doors, you know, they wouldn't even been talking about the officers with 5 years and less than 5 years in a day retiring on 207C and having their health benefits away.
There's no reason for that, as far as not having medical benefits when
Absolutely.
It's not a job where you're going to get a paper cut and you're sitting behind a desk, or, you know, it's a job that you don't know if you're going home the next day, or you're going to bring a disease to your family and catch a disease and know that you can't get rid of that disease, you know. And what do? This could happen 4 years into your job. You already served. You served the county by putting your life at risk every single day. Mm-hmm. And when something happens, where as Maxwell's case, no benefits and nothing, but yet when you put your life on the line, it's different when you're doing that than if you are working behind a booth or in a cubicle and doing paperwork. It's totally different. Your lives are not at risk as much as ours every single day. And this also, when you're going home, you meet some of these criminals out there that remember you, you know. So it's, you know,
I'm with David. A lot of times people go, hey.
You know, you're at risk at work, and you're also at risk on your way home, or going to a movie, or going to a mall where you see someone. Hey, remember me? And that happened to me several times, where they came up to me and said, "Oh, remember me? You're not with your boys." I said, "No, I'm not with my boys, but I do have someone on my side over here that would like to meet you if you would like." They said, no, that's fine, that's fine. But look, I'm not going to cower away from anyone.
Right.
And but you
well,
know,
I remember when Damon took me to all the correction officers rallied around a white officer. I think he got pulled into the cell and got choked out or something, and passed out or something. I mean, I was like, that whole story. Remember?
Oh, the story with the officer got pulled in the cell.
Yeah. I was like, wow, like, you know, it's crazy. You got a couple of comments. Peter Senor Guapo Davidson, he said exactly. He said, "You guys are the bomb." He said in all capital letters, Sergeant Lopez, and
Susan Rivera, that's my sister. She's watching.
Oh, okay.
Hi, Susie.
Yeah, so y'all.
She said she's proud of us, Hector.
Y'all getting a lot of love.
Nice.
oh, thank you.
And Kevin Bunch just tuned in too, from Mount Vernon. Yeah.
It's not. It's a job that nobody wants,
Well,
unless they need a job,
right.
and they use it as a stepping stone. But for me, it's a career, and it's a life. I don't regret it one moment, because I like what I do. But I'm a professional at it also, and I grew up with a lot of these officers in the last 20 years to consider them part of my family.
Right.
But and I'm not going to turn my back on them. But you know, people gotta, you know, if you watch these shows on TV called Jail, there's something like that we deal with all the time. But there's a lot of other stuff
Multiply, yeah.
you only see what the cameras show you on those shows, not what's really how they really treat the officers.
That's right.
I give y'all a lot of credit again, because cops have weapons. You know, you got, you know, sometimes cops, sometimes police officers, not all, but sometimes they react quicker and they'll pull out a weapon. Y'all have to deal with I forget how many inmates at one time, sometimes by yourself, and y'all basically, it's not like y'all got a gun by your side and a taser and all those other things that y'all got to find a different way to resolve the situations, and that takes a whole lot more. You know what I'm saying? To make you think a little quicker than if you got a gun on your side. You got to find
where we're at. You know, we looking at what we see in front of us, but for these two eyes, there is about 800 looking at us. All right, and there's you know, inmates. You know, they're watching us. There are times we don't even know who they are, but they'll know and they'll recognize you out in the street. And we're focusing on one situation, and they're all focusing on us. It all depends what their motive is. So, you know, I know a lot of people have seen me out there. A lot of people give me a look when they see me out there because probably they were in jail and at one time. But they can always say that they were never treated disrespectfully by me. But still, there's a lot of mental illness out there, and they're in the jail too. And people, when they don't have the right set of mind, anything can happen, and it happens all the time. But anything can happen at any given moment.
Yeah. Here's another thing, AJ, that you probably don't realize happens in there.
Put the mic up.
Here's another more instances that you probably don't realize that actually happen in there, is when officers get splashed with feces or urine, goes in their eyes or in their mouth. They have to take what's called a cocktail, right? Now, here's my thing that I'm not understanding as of late, because now, usually, when you take that cocktail, I was always under the assumption that it was an automatic 30 days that you have to stay out while you go through this taking the cocktail, because it, you know, it does so many things to your system. You know, it makes you nauseous, you throw
Vomit,
up, you bring up everything, you go to the bathroom, you have diarrhea, all like that. But now I'm starting to see officers that are actually on the cocktail that have to return back to work within that 30 days. So now you have an officer that's taking a cocktail, that's very sick, that's on a post, probably by himself. You know, he's not light duty, he has to still work with the inmates. This is what I'm not understanding now, what's going on with that, because is there a policy? That's what I'm not understanding. Is there a policy about this? And you wouldn't even know this because what goes on, but that's just one of the other things that actually happens, that we have to work under those conditions after taking a cocktail. During that 30-day period, when your system is going through all these changes, you still have to work amongst the inmates and provide safety and security.
$22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. 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 And are not afraid to say it.